Retailers of all sizes are rethinking about security, and AI is leading the way. In this episode, we're going to explore how affordable surveillance as a service is helping even small retail operators improve safety, streamline operations, and stay ahead of evolving threats. Learn how to avoid common security mistakes, hear real-world examples of incident prevention, and get expert tips on protecting staff and customers without disrupting the shopping experience. Kia ora, I'm Carolyn Young, Chief Executive of Retail NZ. Today I'm joined by Neil Whittaker, who's the Country Manager with HiveWatch. Welcome, Neil.
Welcome. Thank you, Caroline. Kia ora.
How does HiveWatch's surveillance as a service model specifically benefit retailers in terms of improving store safety and operational efficiency?
Well, HiveWatch is a sort of a surveillance system and a company, if you like, and we do end-to-end. So, of course, within surveillance, it involves cameras, alarms, access control systems, all those kind of things that fit around surveillance. But our strength, I guess, is around the AI side of it. So we have some software packages which we've obtained the agency for in New Zealand, which come from France and Australia, and they're used worldwide around America and Europe. And this software basically looks over existing assets that the companies and the retailers have, which is camera systems particularly. And it's a software that's a behavioral-based software. So it's from a surveillance point of view, I relate it back to the old-fashioned movies. If you say the old-fashioned movies where you see, security guards sitting watching TV screens all day long, and they're watching 5 or 10 cameras. Well, in this case, we have a software that looks after all the cameras for you in 24/7. So it's sitting there continually watching the cameras that you've put in. It runs across the top of them, and it basically is looking for behavioral patterns that you want to see. So in terms of surveillance, what do you want to see? If you want to see people going aisles and hiding behind bookshelves, which is common, by the way, or actually, putting small items into their pockets or into their bags or whatever, you want to see that, then this system will pick that up. You train it. It has modules that come with it, when you first go with a system, but you basically customize it to see and tell you what you want. So over a period of time, and that may only take a matter of weeks or months, but you fine tune it. So you end up with a customized version saying, these are the things I'd like to see in my retail operation. And, depending on the organization, how many cameras, how many aisles, all those kind of things that affect, it will do that. It'll watch for the behavioral patterns, and it'll give you a indication lifetime. You'll get an indication come through to the person you want it to come through. And that's an important point too. Who do you want it to go to? Who do you want to tell? So it's a very proactive system. It's going to say something's happening in aisle 6. Somebody's just put something in their pockets. It might be confectionery. It could be something small.
And so the technology is smart enough to recognize those movements and body movements that mean that someone is doing something like that action is taking place, and they can identify that automatically.
Yes. So we're not interested in the fave. We're only interested in the behavioral movements. What do they do? And then it alerts you, and then you can tell you whether you want to. And that person who's trained decides at that point in time, yes, this is something I should take further action on or not. And over a period of time, you get those alerts fine-tuned to the point where they only give the alerts you want to see, not a whole bunch of stuff you don't. And the training is very important, that the staff are involved in it. In the bigger organizations, they have prevention officers, but in the smaller retail outlets, you can't afford that. So it may be a duty manager that may take the notification, and we train them to make sure they understand what they can do and to do that safely, and how to approach people if there is something been put in somebody's pocket or bag, and how to do that in a way that's non-threatening and safe.
So, Neil, how can HiveWatch help retailers address some of the most common security mistakes that happen in store?
Well, I think it's a matter of making sure that they look at their systems and the process they currently have. So the systems they currently have, and a lot of retailers are very passive. They look at they have assets. Most retailers, even small ones, have cameras.
Yes.
But they don't tend to look at those cameras. They don't sit there all day watching cameras. So they only tend to look at them in a retrospective fashion. So they go back if there's an event or something took place, and they go backwards and have a look. So what retailers need to do is look proactively, because if you're looking proactively, you address the issue at the time.
Yes.
You highlight to the public, if the public are in there in these retail spaces, that you are observing their movements, and you are observing what's happening, and it becomes a very proactive situation. You deter people from coming in. They don't
Well,
like to be
let's
followed.
reframe that. You probably deter the bad
Oh,
actors from coming in. We don't want to deter the customers, but
sorry, you
those
want
that are looking
customers in
to
there.
steal will be deterred, right?
Yeah, and yes, that's exactly right. You want to deter those people who are taking advantage of the situation. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So yes, so I think retailers can do a lot of work that way, and particularly I think in terms of their staff and training, because you don't want staff want tools to be able to use. You don't want all the staff observing everybody, looking at people like they're criminals when they're not. 99% of people are not. They're in there just doing their shopping or doing whatever they're doing, and they don't want to be talked to for the wrong reasons. They don't want to be held up on a camera somewhere. So you really want to really niche it down to the area you want to in terms of the software, and make sure you're only approaching the actual situations you need to. And staff need to use those tools, need tools. They're not trained security guards. Most staff are not trained security guards. They shouldn't be responsible for stopping people, putting things in their pockets. So, but if you do have the right training and the right software running across these cameras, you can observe the right situations and only get involved in those situations when you need to. So I think that's important that the retailers start looking proactively at systems that give them a forward-thinking way of looking at what's going on in their shops, because they'll be surprised at what they see when they look back on these cameras real time. They will not be seeing that stuff now. They will not be seeing people hide behind counters. They will not see people hiding behind screens and putting things in bags, because they can't be everywhere. They cannot.
That's right. And look, one of the things that the police do acknowledge is that when you approach someone, if you do that quickly, if someone's just done something, they've just put something in their pocket, if you're able to approach them in the right way, immediately following that, they'll most likely quite easily leave the store with leaving the stock behind. So it is about being able to be proactive in that sense, right? It's acting in the moment rather than acting, later on the day. So, really
absolutely spot
tool,
on.
I think, in terms of thinking about those things.
Yeah, that's right. And so, it may just be you walking up to somebody and say, "Look, can I give you a bag to put those things in?" That sort of approach, and it's very proactive. And once they know that you're right, Caroline, they tend to leave the shop, leave the premises. They know they've been caught, if you like.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and they generally, the observation from overseas is they generally don't come back. The reduction goes quite quickly because those people go somewhere else.
Can you give us some examples of how HiveWatch's AI-powered systems have helped detect or prevent incidences in retail settings?
Yeah, well, we've got lots and lots of examples of that these days, of course, because, as I said before, this is a worldwide product. I think it's got 4,000 or 5,000 customers at the moment on it, and in about 70 countries. So we get examples all the time. We can see the live feeds. We can look at the live feeds in the retail organizations in New Zealand if they want us to as well. So we can watch and observe those. And what we're observing is the techniques that people use in terms of when they're trying to steal. I mean, there's an example one the other day I looked at in a retail store where 3 girls go for confectionery, small items. They do the usual walk down the aisles. One is distracting, one's making a lot of noise, and one's putting things in their pocket.
Yep.
So you see the whole group and how they work as a team. It makes you more aware going forward. And again, I'm using that word proactively. Next time there's a group comes in like that, you are much more aware of those kind of people and what they might be doing and how they're observing. And the system itself, the behavioral system, the AI system, will pick that up and notify you if they do take something off the shelf, put it in their pocket. So it's very, very clever that way. Very, very clever.
So what recommendations would you give to retailers looking to enhance the safety of their staff and customers without disrupting that shopping experience?
Well, again, without repeating myself, the tools, it is a tool, and tools have to be used and training has to be given around those tools. So again, I believe that it's come down to certain individuals that you need to train. You don't want all staff involved in this at all. So to keep it safe, you have to train the staff correctly. So we offer training in those areas, and that training comes out of examples that we've learned internationally. So we provide that, and we suggest that, like I mentioned before, that it comes down to a duty manager who's on duty that particular day or that particular week, that they're the only individuals that get notified, and they make the decision on whether they take any action at all, any appropriate action, whether it's walking up to a customer or not. And I think, like I said, in the larger stores, we work with prevention officers, and they're obviously already trained as well. So we keep it very much narrowed down to a few individuals and not have all the staff involved, because that's a safety issue. You want to train the people correctly, keep them safe, and train them on how to handle those situations so they don't get into any conflict whatsoever. That's important, very important.
And look, lastly, how does HiveWatch stay ahead of the evolving security threats? What are the innovations that you're looking at that you're excited about for retail security in the future?
Well, everything we learn from what we're doing at the moment gets put into the think tanks, I guess, if you want, for a better way of putting it. So internationally, they're developing new software all the time and enhancing the current software. So, for example, there's one that's going to be launched very shortly, which is like a counter software, which in this particular case, we're explaining what that means. It means that they're observing a customer who may go to a counter to check out or buy goods across the counter, who declares the goods but doesn't declare all the goods they put into their bags. So this software will pick that up. It'll say, look, you've put 10 items across, but you've actually got 2 other items that we saw you pick up, and the camera saw you pick up, but you haven't put them across the counter. So it highlights cleverly the situations again where somebody might have, put something small from a pharmacy or whatever in their pocket. We have another product as well, which is called V+. The V+ product is something that may be used in terms of retail, but it's more of a work-safe product. So the technology is growing all the time, and it's all of the same basis. It's really just putting eyes out there and some instinct with it, and then some intelligence that you develop with it to say, what do I want to see? What's going on in my organization? Unsafe acts. It could be aggressive behavior too, by the way, to staff. It can pick that up as well. So if there's anything that looks aggressive, somebody arguing with somebody at the till, or somebody arguing with somebody at the front door in the car park, for example, it can pick that up on the cameras too and say, look, there's something going on. You better send somebody out to the car park because somebody's having a bit of an altercation out there. So it's very clever, but it's so simple. It's so simple. Like I said, you're using those recorders already with the cameras. This has no hardware that goes on the back. It's all serverless. It goes on the back and it runs away and it comes back to you with an alert very quickly. So very simple to use, very simple to install, and you can customize it.
Amazing. Look, thank you so much for joining us today, Neil. It's been such a pleasure to speak with you and hear about how HiveWatch is supporting businesses to reduce crime and theft in their stores.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Look, I hope everyone enjoyed the episode today, and don't forget to visit hivewatch.co.nz to find out for more information. This was part of our Empowering Retail series, your go-to resource for short, actionable insights designed to take your retail business to the next level. Watch out for other episodes and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, ka kite anō. Bye for now.